every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brereton Horne. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St. Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brereton Horne will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brereton Horne at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on NiceRadio for A View from the Outside.
7:30 said it is the 20th day in the month of Independence, 20th day in the month of October. Saturday morning, we got Brereton Horne on the line. Good morning to you, Brereton, and how are you doing this morning?
Good morning to you, Randy. I'm very good, and how are you?
Doing good, doing good. I noticed that things are heating up in the United States, the investigation into Russia's involvement into the American elections. The grand jury, the people, Mueller is getting closer to indicting someone. You got that story?
Yes, indeed. You're quite right. I understand that charges are being brought. We don't know against whom yet or what the exact are. But Robert Mueller, I understand, has made the decision that charges will be brought in that Russian probe. As we are told, Randy, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but it does grind, and it looks like it's catching up with some in America at the moment.
And the big man is heading off for his Asia tour, still having words with the man in North Korea.
Yes, and he's doing everything to deflect from the breaking news in respect of the charges which have been brought. But we wait to see what comes out of that Asian tour. We wait to see what develops in America over the next few days, because I understand that as early as Monday, it's quite possible that some people will be in custody as a result of the charges which have been brought. But we don't know yet, so we wait to see.
Here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we had a beautiful day for our independence celebration. Major show at the Victoria Park. And then I had an opportunity to just move around the place to get a feel of independence. I dropped in at Michelle up at Maïs, as usual. I went downtown to check on the PJ competition down in the Rose Place area. That was something that was started many years ago. I'm happy to see that it's still being continued. And I spent some time by Blondie Board and Friends. These guys cooked up a storm yesterday. Thanks, guys. And after that, I grabbed a long rest because I'm planning on heading out sometime soon in Brereton. So next week is the boss you'll be having to have your discussion with.
Well, I am quite okay to interact with the boss, as you say. I'm sure Dougie wouldn't mind. And yes, I'm quite pleased as well, Randy, to hear that that yesterday went well for independence, the actual Independence Day itself, the celebrations, and I'm glad to hear you talk about moving about the place and interacting with people and getting the feel for independence. You mentioned one of my most favorite games there. You mentioned the Pedro competition. I wish I was part of that, but obviously I'll have to do a Judy Boucher if I could be in two places at the same time, but I know I can't. So
yeah,
I couldn't be.
One of the great games, man. I really love a Pedro game. Actually, in the first competition they had downtown for the independence celebration, I won. Yeah. It was Manny De Freitas and I. We were the big winners. Yeah, in the first of those PJ competition, Manny De Freitas and I, we were the big winners.
I like how you slipped that in. Yeah. I won. Well done, Randy. Congratulations. I would have to challenge you one day to a PJ game.
Looking forward to that.
And I could guarantee you that you're going to be up against a formidable opponent.
Gotta have a good partner, though. It's a good partner you need.
Oh yes, and I hope I don't have Maurice Horne. He's not going to be happy with me for saying that this morning. But yes, you're quite right. One's game is dependent on who the partner is. That's the fact. Yes, there's a lot happening around the world, as you know, but we're not going to feature that this morning necessarily. But in Spain, the Catalonia situation is one of concern, especially for Europe and Europeans. So, we probably will be in a position to talk more about that next week. So maybe I'll talk about that with Dougie. Tell me about the weather today, though.
Yeah, had a beautiful day. I started out playing Bridget Blucher, a beautiful day, because there was a feel coming up the hill as I walked up the hill and taking the nice little breeze that is blowing across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The sun was coming up. A nice feeling for the Saturday.
Lovely. I always ask you about the weather, particularly because when you talk about the feel going up the hill, walking up the hill, it sort of rejuvenates me a little bit. So that's for my own catharsis, really, Yes, the weather here in London is it's quite sunny, actually, mostly sunny, but it's getting colder. It is 12 degrees Celsius or 54 degrees Fahrenheit. And let me just say good morning to all of the listeners of A View from the Outside, all of the listeners of NiceRadio, whether you're in St. Vincent or wherever you are listening to the program at this time. On A View from the Outside this week, Randy, this week being the 28th of October 2017, we look at the issue of patriotism, 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 with the view being that too much and too often Vincentians at home and abroad are branded as lacking patriotism simply because they refuse to bow to the pressures of oppression and suppression in their endeavor to voice the ills which plague the country. The Cambridge Dictionary defines patriotism as the feeling of loving your country more than any others and being proud of it. And the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines patriotism as love that people feel for their country. Merriam-Webster goes on to give an example, and the example is, although poles apart, ideologically, they are both unashamed of their patriotism. If we look at that example given by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, essentially what they're telling us is that each of two people who have different beliefs ideologically or politically can each still express their patriotism with pride. In other words, no one man or woman has a monopoly on patriotism. No one political party or their supporters control the patriotism of others. It is for you, the individual, to feel and love your country with your own patriotism. Do not let anyone tell you how much and when to love your blessed and beautiful St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Do not let anyone hoodwink you and tell you that because you oppose them politically, that you have no patriotism and that you do not love your country. If they tell you that, let them know that you know that they are trying to control your mind and that you will not allow them to do so. If they tell you that, you may wish to repeat to them what a proud Vincentian who lives outside of the country posted on Facebook yesterday. It reads, "No one can question my patriotism. I talk about St. Vincent and the Grenadines almost every day, good or bad. I am a Vinci, a true Vinci." Yes, Vincentians, you must control your own minds, and you must determine what's best for you and what's best for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You must determine for yourselves when you speak out and what issues to speak out on. None of that must be dictated to you by anyone, regardless to who they are. If you wish to speak out about the escalating and seemingly unabated crime rate in the country, where murders and other serious crimes rise year on year, then do so. You do not lack patriotism if you speak out on that. If you wish to speak out about the injustice which you see and you know taking place in the country and being meted out to your own people who are deemed not to support the regime, then speak out. You do not lack patriotism if you speak out. If you wish to express your own view and comment, like others, that justice has two faces in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, then express your view. You do not lack patriotism because of it. If you wish to talk about what you see and know as the inadequate and insufficient health care in the country, then talk about it. You do not lack patriotism because you talk. If, like Brother Oscar Allen, God bless his soul, as he continues to speak to us from the shadows of death, if you want to say that there will be fatal consequences if health care is not improved drastically, then say so. No one, absolutely no one, can truthfully and with any good conscience accuse Brother Oscar Allen as having lacked patriotism. Speak out if you must about the dilapidated school buildings and other public buildings in the country, including the General Hospital and other clinics. You do not lack patriotism if you speak out. If some roads are in a dilapidated and unrepaired state for months and years, and other roads, especially those leading to the residence of those in the hierarchy of the regime, are in pristine condition, and you wish to speak out about it, then do not let the bile of anyone stop you from speaking out. You do not lack patriotism if you do. If you feel strongly that the regime's leaders and its representatives have failed you and St. Vincent and the Grenadines miserably, and you wish to express that view, then go ahead and do so. You will not lack patriotism if you do. You do not lack patriotism if you raise your voice for abused women and domestic violence generally. You do not lack patriotism if you demand accountability. You do not lack patriotism if you join the front line and protest what you believe is a stolen election and other ills in the society or in the country. You do not lack patriotism if you demand that the election petitions are heard. You do not lack patriotism if you protest and demand your right to beach access in the country. You do not lack patriotism if you highlight the metaphorical broken windows in the Vincentian society. In all of the scenarios referred to, if you speak out or express your views on those issues, there are those who will want to tell you that you lack patriotism. They will curse and denigrate you and tell you that you do not love your country and that you are anti-St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or you are un-Vincentian, simply because you call wrong, wrong. Well, when they do that, it is best to remind them of what Malcolm X said when he addressed an audience on the 7th of January 1965 in a speech entitled Prospects for Freedom. In that speech, he was highlighting the ills of the American society, and having done so, he said, and I quote, "Now, in speaking like this, it doesn't mean that I am anti or anti-American. I am not. I am not anti or anti-American or un-American. And he goes on to say, I quote, "You are not supposed to be blinded by patriotism that you cannot face reality. Wrong is wrong, no matter who says it. Let them know," unquote, "let them know that their logic is skewed and that on the contrary, it is because you love and feel pride for your country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, why you always want better for it. Let them know that because you love your country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you are bursting with it. That is why you speak up and speak out in your endeavor to make St. Vincent and the Grenadines a better place. And so, Vincentians, never fall for their trick about you lacking patriotism when you speak out and want better for the country. Never, ever let them hoodwink you into silence with their rhetoric. If ever and whenever they come with such talk, just let them know that patriotism is what you feel for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not what they tell you to feel and when to feel it. And in doing so, tell them that Mark Twain said, patriotism is supporting your country all the time and your government when it deserves it. Until next week, Randy, this is Brereton Horne with a view from the outside. And just a reminder to our listeners to send feedback to aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. That's aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. Randy, have a very good Saturday. Play Piju, enjoy it if you must. Have a real beautiful Sunday and have a fruitful week ahead. All the best to you. I won't be speaking to you next week, as you said, but I look forward to you coming back. All the best.
Thank you, Brereton. Thank you. Great job as usual. Thank you. A view from the outside every Saturday morning right here on the nation's nicest.
Tune into